More than 1 billion devices worldwide run Windows today, and on many of them, built-in features like automatic OneDrive syncing and background telemetry quietly monitor file activity and move data off the device by default. Documents stored in common folders such as desktop, documents, and pictures are often copied to the cloud automatically, even when users believe those files are local. This is not a hidden hack or a fringe theory. It is the result of Microsoft's own cloud integration strategy. With the introduction of OneDrive known Folder Move in Windows 10 and its expansion across Windows 11, cloud syncing shifted from an optional backup feature to a default behavior many users never clearly opt into. Security researchers have documented how this automatic syncing funnels files into cloud environments connected to Microsoft accounts and SharePoint infrastructure. Once data lives there, access depends entirely on account security. A single successful phishing attempt, reused password, or stolen login token can expose years of personal documents, business files, financial records, or private notes in minutes. This is not a theoretical risk. Researchers have demonstrated real attack paths where default cloud syncing dramatically increases the impact of credential compromise. Regulators have also raised concerns around transparency, consent, and user awareness when cloud backups are enabled by default rather than explicit choice. In this video, we will show how Windows Cloud Syncing actually works, what data is moved without most users realizing it, and why many security professionals now see these defaults as a growing liability rather than a convenience. What began as backup has quietly become exposure, and in the year 2026, that exposure is no longer hypothetical. You must grasp this immediately because fresh zero-day attacks and unpatched flaws threaten ordinary people every day, while switching to Linux delivers ironclad control free from these hidden cloud traps. Microsoft positions OneDrive AutoSync alongside telemetry as essential building blocks for a secure, seamless computing experience that keeps your files backed up and accessible across devices anytime. OneDrive Known Folder. Move first rolled out widely in Windows 10, version 1903-2019, automatically redirecting documents, pictures, and desktop folders to the cloud for effortless protection and multi-device access. The company frames this as a critical safeguard against data loss, scanning local changes in real time to mirror files across Microsoft servers, ensuring instant recovery from crashes, hardware failure, or theft, while enhancing collaboration through shared links. Official goals focus on proactive backup of everyday folders, delivering files to any signed-in device much faster than manual uploads, and personalizing storage recommendations based on usage patterns, all sold as solutions to productivity killers like lost work, forgotten backups, or device switches that plague users daily. In normal everyday use, OneDrive operates quietly in the background, scanning what Microsoft calls protected folders for changes and syncing them to your cloud account, including documents with credentials, config files, and personal photos, with required authentication tied to your Microsoft account. This works at two levels: basic folder redirection, which moves your local desktop, documents, and pictures to OneDrive paths, and advanced selective sync, which lets you choose subsets but defaults to full upload of everything new or modified. Telemetry complements this by logging sync events, file metadata, and network details to refine performance. OneDrive, introduced for all Windows users, pushes automatic backups to SharePoint Online, indexed for search, letting you query past files across apps, emails, and chats, so you can recover that lost invoice from yesterday or a family photo deleted last month. Microsoft claims this skyrockets productivity by ending local-only storage risks without scanning private encrypted folders and handles everything via your account, leveraging Azure Cloud for redundancy, speed, and AI-driven organization. Key technical basics center on local cloud bridging, where OneDrive creates placeholder files on disk, redirecting saves to encrypted SharePoint storage, protected by multi-factor authentication and enterprise sharing controls. Marketing stresses user choice with setup prompts to pause sync, folder exclusions, and easy unlink options to revert to local only. The company insists in docs that personal data stays under your control, never scanned for ads or shared without links, thus branding OneDrive as a privacy-forward backup empowering your workflow. Security researchers quickly dissected OneDrive AutoSync and Windows Search, indexing revealing risks Microsoft downplayed. Entro Labs reported in September 2025 how known folder move exposes 1 in 5 enterprise secrets by auto-uploading developer.env files, API keys, and config secrets to searchable SharePoint without oversight, while Level Blue Spider Labs detailed search index as a forensic artifact, cataloging malware drops, URLs, and file contents in plaintext SQLite. Cybersecurity firm Concentric AI highlighted Copilot integration scanning synced data for AI prompts, leaking PII across tenants. Data lives in broadly accessible SharePoint lists and local search index SQLite, capturing full documents every edit or addition, keystrokes in Office apps, URLs, embedded links, and even metadata from photos via telemetry. Malware targets weak local accounts. Tests showed phishers querying SharePoint for passwords, AWS tokens, or dumping search index for creds from indexed notepads, VS Code files before encryption. ForTech style. Analysis confirmed default personal accounts on business PCs blend work secrets into consumer clouds post May 2025 update, with index persisting deleted data. Practical danger hits hard if phishing infects. Common on Windows due to market share, your finances or health docs become cloud payloads or forensic traces. You probably think skipping setup opt-out protects you, but researchers proved AutoSync reactivates via updates, backups, or policy, while Search rebuilds indexes, exposing data remotely. Windows 70% share draws constant exploits, unlike Linux's local-only file systems with no forced cloud or indexing. Regulators have scrutinized Windows data practices for years, focusing on telemetry, OneDrive, and search indexing. The Dutch Data Protection Authority launched a probe into Windows 10 telemetry practices in 2019, concluding that Microsoft collected non-diagnostic data such as detailed browsing patterns and application usage without obtaining proper user consent or providing a clear legal basis. This finding violated core GDPR requirements, prompting an official referral to Ireland's Data Protection Commission, the lead authority overseeing Microsoft's European operations, due to its Dublin headquarters. The investigation highlighted how telemetry exceeded basic error reporting, pulling in extensive device activity logs that users could not adequately opt out of during standard setup flows. The Irish DPC confirmed ongoing investigations into allegations of remote data grabs and insufficient transparency, following that initial agreement with Dutch regulators. Privacy advocates, including the Electronic Frontier Foundation, issued stark warnings about OneDrive Copilot scanning synced files for prompts, noting it captures sensitive info like credentials before encryption, directly violating least privilege and data minimization norms embedded in global privacy frameworks. University researchers, alongside cybersecurity firms like Tenable, published detailed reports on persistent zero-day vulnerabilities in critical Windows components, such as RASMAN, the Remote Access Service Manager, which amplifies these risks by enabling unauthenticated remote code execution that could target SharePoint or search databases directly. These regulatory bodies and experts care deeply because Windows processes vast amounts of health records, financial transactions, and precise location data across 1 billion plus devices daily. GDPR fines loom large for inadequate consent mechanisms, potentially reaching 4% of global annual revenue. But the real impact strikes users whose personal information inadvertently fuels Microsoft's AI training datasets or spills through preventable leaks, eroding trust in everyday computing tools. Imagine a journalist carefully sourcing whistleblowers from high-risk regions, where OneDrive Auto syncs their contact notes to SharePoint, preserving names, messages, and identities in cloud storage that malware or stolen creds could extract and exfiltrate to adversaries. Or consider a therapist documenting patient trauma histories during virtual sessions, where search indexing captures session files, notes, and typed details, rendering this data accessible via common malware techniques, breaching confidentiality standards akin to those mandated by HIPAA principles for protected health information. For example, picture a small business owner hastily entering proprietary trade secrets into email drafts during a late-night negotiation, only for unpatched flaws in Windows remote access services to allow distant attackers to query SharePoint or dump search index, instantly crippling competitive operations and exposing years of intellectual property to rivals or nation-state actors. A domestic violence survivor plotting escape routes on mapping apps faces even graver peril, as location telemetry combined with OneDrive sync or search. Metadata permanently reveals precise addresses, safe house coordinates, and travel patterns, transforming a routine device compromise into an immediate physical safety threat. These scenarios stem directly from verified risks documented by researchers, where Windows' vast attack surface dwarfs Linux equivalents, thanks to its monolithic kernel design, versus Linux modular architecture fortified by SE Linux policies that strictly limit damage blast radius from breaches. Financial data typed casually into forms or notes morphs into exfiltratable gold for phishers, exactly as researcher-controlled tests using dummy credit card numbers demonstrated successful harvesting from indexed archives or cloud syncs. Health notes, legal communications, or personal identifiers captured in routine operations routinely escalate identity theft probabilities from theoretical to inevitable, transforming abstract technical flaws into profoundly personal human consequences. Microsoft adjusted course. After intense backlash from security experts, privacy advocates, and early regulatory signals. OneDrive known folder. Move shifted to prominent optoprompts, adding folder exclusions, disable KFM policy, and selective sync defaults, while search gained rebuild controls, exclusions, and indexer service tweaks. Telemetry improvements included diagnostic data viewer for inspections, adjustable sliders since Windows 10 1903, granting finer transmission control. Rollout delays accommodated audits, Azure AD multi-factor mandatory for enterprise shares. Yet significant problems persist according to rigorous independent tests throughout 2025. Sync filters miss .env files, iframes, and private leaks, while search excludes fail on rebuilds, preserving deleted text. James Forshaw demonstrated privilege bypasses trivial for index dumps, PIN weaker than biometrics. October 2025, Patch Tuesday fixed CVEs like 2025-5. 9230 but 183 total, underscoring relentless holes. Strikingly, your files are guarded like 4-digit PIN on a gym locker. User access cracks it, unlike Linux AppArmor strict isolation. Telemetry pings daily, bloating despite toggles, feeding AI without consent. Start with universal tweaks to curb Windows risks immediately, then consider Linux for lasting protection. Open Settings, navigate to Privacy and Security, then select OneDrive and sync. Toggle Known Folder. Move to Off, unlink this PC, and delete all cloud copies to purge auto-uploaded archives right away. Next, go to Privacy and Security, then Diagnostics and Feedback. Set diagnostic data to required, the lowest level possible. Delete all stored diagnostic data and turn off tailored experiences along with optional diagnostic data to slash outbound transmissions. Review app permissions next. Under Privacy and Security, App Permissions. Scroll through the full list of apps and features, then disable access to camera, microphone, and location for every non-essential application, from social media clients to background services, reviewing each permission toggle individually to immediately block unnecessary surveillance that could capture your surroundings, conversations, or movements without consent. Many users overlook how even trusted apps like browsers or media players request these permissions by default, quietly activating hardware sensors during routine tasks, so methodically audit every entry, flipping switches off for anything beyond core necessities like video calls. For advanced users, block telemetry endpoints via Windows Defender Firewall to cut data flows at their source. Search online for complete Windows telemetry hosts list, which includes dozens of Microsoft domains. Then open Windows Defender Firewall with advanced security. Create new outbound rules targeting specific ports for each domain, like Vortex Data, Microsoft Com, Settings G Data. Microsoft Com, Watson Telemetry, Microsoft Com, Obadu, Telemetric Com, and Redir M, Microsoft Com. Configure these rules to silently drop all traffic, ensuring diagnostic pings, usage stats, and crash reports never leave your network without disrupting Windows Update or Edge browsing, since core functions route through separate whitelisted paths. For full escape from these pervasive issues, Switch to Linux distributions optimized for privacy, like Ubuntu for beginners with its polished interface, or Kubes OS for advanced compartmentalization that isolates apps and virtual machines, preventing cross-contamination. Download the ISO file directly from the official Ubuntu COM or KubesOS.org website. Verify its checksum using built-in tools. Create a bootable USB drive with free applications like Rufus on Windows or Etcher on any platform, ensuring at least 8 GB capacity for smooth performance. Boot from USB by entering BIOS with F2, Del or F12, selecting USB as first priority, then launch live mode to test the full desktop environment, apps, and hardware compatibility without touching your hard drive or risking data loss. No Microsoft account required ever, unlike Windows forced logins. Zero telemetry runs by default with complete opt-in control for every package installation. And repository-based package managers like apt or DNF automatically screen downloads against vast security databases, flagging malware, exploits, or outdated code before execution, while pushing seamless automatic updates. Test all your essential applications, from browsers to Office suites, in live mode, confirming Wi-Fi, printing, and peripherals work flawlessly. Migrate personal files securely via an external drive, encrypted USB or cautious cloud sync tools, then fully transition by partitioning your drive during install for true dual boot configuration, preserving Windows as a fallback. This proven approach hands complete control back to you immediately, eliminating built-in spying at the kernel level where Linux design principles enforce user sovereignty from boot. Your operating system works for Microsoft too, harvesting data under the guise of improvement until you take action. Choose now. Option 1. Unlink OneDrive. Stop search indexing and telemetry today via those exact settings paths for quick relief from immediate leaks. Option 2. Share this video with one Windows user who needs the wake-up call most to spark their own investigation. Comment your choice below for accountability. Subscribe for the next deep dive on Android surveillance risks. Protect yourself, start today.